the 1975 Triumph TR6 Roadster. I spent 2 years restoring this car. It is my love, it is my passion, and it is my fault I didn't lose the keys. I really shouldn't even drive it. I should just keep it in the garage and put it in the diaper. But if you had access to a car like this, would you just let it sit in a garage? Neither would I. So yeah, that was the present that I went and picked up. That if you're watching these, hopefully you've already gotten that. That's a present for you guys. That was originally the Triumph was originally my biological father's, Gilbert's. And he was going to sell it off like he does with everything. He has that, he had that issue where he just liked to cause destruction. He had a very serious mental problem where he just liked to destroy things. It was, I grew up with that my entire life. He would just get things, hand them to you, and then destroy them. And it was a very childlike behavior. In any case, I convinced him not to sell that because that was a gift from my actual mother. She's my grandmother, but she had given that to him in a very strange way. Long story, but that was a present she gave to him. He was going to destroy it, and I said, "No, you can't do that. That was a gift from her." And so got that car, and originally that was going to be a present for him. I was going to fix it up for him. Otherwise, I would have put that off for a while because the total cost on that restoration, well, don't worry about that. It was a lot. And I would have held off on that, but it was going to be a present for him. The reason I did that, the reason I was going to give him a present was because I always hoped he would change his ways. I always hoped, had this, come on, you can do it. You can do it. Stop this behavior. And he never did. He got worse and worse because I enabled. That's on me. I should not have enabled that. But he got worse and worse. And he eventually ended up betraying me and you guys pretty bad. Blew through over $500,000 in a few years, and then tried to blame it on me, claiming, you know the story, that I took $300,000 from him. He was just that kind of coward. And I want you to know that not because I'm speaking ill of him. It's important for you to know. Because you've probably wondered, why did he never call us? Why did he never get in touch with us? It was because he was a coward. And that's not on you. That's why I'm telling you that. It has nothing to do with you. He was just a genuine coward of a person. Why that happened, I don't care. But the reality is, he was just kind of a worthless person. In any case, I keep saying that because it's an uncomfortable topic, but it's one that needs to be addressed. Enabling does not happen anymore. It won't happen anymore. Not for me, anyway. After he blew through that, 600 grand in a few years, and gave it to another person that was completely undeserving. But it's his money. Go ahead, do whatever you want with it. You guys could have used that. That's why I said, well, I've put this money into this car. I'm not giving it back to him. This is going to go to Amy and Grace. That money, the money that went to restoring that car, should have gone to you anyway. So it's going to go to you through that car. And there you go. Let's see, I think I do. This was when I first got it. That was when I first got it. That's how it looked. He got the car and never did anything with it. He couldn't because he never had a job. So he got the car and just started to let it rot away. But originally I wanted to make it look something like this. That was the idea. And that's the trunk. You can just see it was just pretty beat up. That was the day after the restoration place got it. And we came up with some ideas on what to do. That paint was coming off. Stripped it down. And then it started to get primed. We got the bumpers re-chromed. That was a really expensive process. I didn't know how much chroming cost, but it needed to be redone. And more sanding. You get the idea. We had a roll bar installed just for safety. While I don't plan on ever driving it to the point where I'm going to roll it, a car might hit me if I'm driving it. I'm not going to drive it very much. I kind of joke in that video right there. I just finished editing that like an hour ago. But I don't plan on driving it very much, but it has to be driven. You actually have to drive these old cars. They need the movement and the lubrication and all that stuff. The final primer looking real smooth. But we got the roll bar on there because if somebody were to hit me and it flips over, well, that would be bad. And then, it finally got the new paint, cleaned up the motor, and you saw the rest. Got the new tires, got the new rims. So the amount of stuff that got done on there was a lot. A lot of it you can't see. The frame was pretty messed up. The chassis was pretty messed up. There was a lot of rust. The re-chroming, tuning up the engine, the roll bar. There's probably a ton of stuff that I can't remember right now. There is actually a bunch of stuff I can't remember right now. The doors needed to be rehinged and reattached. I remember that. The electrical system. The British cars are notorious for their electrical system. That needed to be redone, and it did. Originally, the interior was going to get redone. That's been put off. So, again, with it not being a gift to him anymore, just decided to settle on this and call it quits. So, which, by the way, I got a new microphone. Gonna test. It seemed easier. I don't know how the recording level sounds because I don't wear headphones. So we'll see how this goes. But hey, girls. Long-winded intro. Excuse me, October 23rd, 2024. It is 7:30 in the morning. I filmed the little video there. I have fun doing it because we had fun doing it. I love doing those videos, remembering us filming those videos together. And while I'm doing it, I'm actually picturing you guys with me. So, missing you guys a lot, as always. Wish I could be wherever you're at right now, but never mind. We won't go down that road. So now I just sat down. I've got to head up to Denver to go to work in about an hour and a half. And I thought I'd check in and say, hey. I watched the last podcast, and I want to clarify something again. In that podcast, I talk about how women are out of control. That is a generalization about a minority of women. The majority of women are fantastic and are not out of control. They're doing what needs to be done. You'll hear a term very often, the vocal minority. The vocal minority, meaning the loud minority of people, are always going to make it worse for the majority of people. And right now, there is this trend of Karens. You've heard that term, I'm sure. You're not supposed to say that. The hell I'm not. Whatever you want to call them, I don't care. Because there's worse names than Karens, by the way. But there are a vocal minority of women who are ruining it for the majority of women. That is what I'm referring to. That said, it's like a spectrum of being out of control and keeping your shit together. There's some that are way over here, and they bleed into the people in the middle. What I'm trying to say is that there's that influence of people, of people who are completely out of control, who are going to have an impact on the people towards that side. Then those people are like, no, I don't want to do that. And then there are people who are saying that, well, those people are freaking terrible and I don't want to be anything like them. This is where the majority of women lie. And it's that minority that are just really out of control and ruining it for everybody. And they don't just ruin it for men. You know, we saw that video of that little boy saying, oh, I'm scared of women. Well, that's happening to men. But that vocal minority of women is ruining it for other women too. If you haven't noticed, it's become very difficult for women to find a partner. And the reason for that is because a lot of men are just like, screw this, I'm out. Marriage? No. You're not taking half my shit. No, you're not going to take my kids once you get pissed off at me. No, you're not going to try and destroy my life. No, you're not going to throw me in jail. Men have had it. And it's because those vocal minority of women, people like your CLR and Mom's Attorney, they will come up regularly because they're just the most evil people on the planet, and I will refer to them. They ruin it for you guys in every way possible. They destroy your childhood. They make it so men don't want to date you, so they destroy your future. They make it so nobody, I got to watch my words there, not nobody. They make it so if women are victims of domestic violence, well, they've seen the false claims now. People outside of that situation have seen the false claims, and they become skeptical. And if somebody actually is a victim of domestic violence, well, these women who go and scream domestic violence just to get their way have made it so others don't believe that claim anymore. So women who actually are victims are not believed. The unbelievable damage these people do to our society and mostly to women, because like I said, men are backing out. Now they just don't want to get involved, and it's over with. The unbelievable damage these people do, they will tell you it's a good thing. They will say, oh, it's a good thing that little boy is scared of women. He won't go raping anybody and he won't go being domestically violent. He'll think twice. He probably wasn't going to do that in the first place. Now he's just now not going to get involved with any women. That's what occurs. So they see it as a good thing, and that's just the way it is with people who are genuinely evil. They don't, well, in some cases they actually do think they're doing evil. But most of the time, they will tell you that they're doing a good thing for the wrong cause, and they just have to lie about it because society is not caught up to their intellect yet. They are ahead of the curve. And they're looking out for society. The classic example, if you were to ask Adolf Hitler if he was doing a bad thing, he would say no, he's trying to cleanse the world. And what he's doing is a good thing. They believe what they're doing is good. It's for the greater good. It's because they're whack jobs. Anyway, yeah, so that's that. No, the majority of women are fantastic. I work with them all the time. Good group. Occasionally run into a pain in the ass. And those are always the ones that everybody remembers. It's just the way it is. Having my morning caffeine and nicotine. Got my Zins going. I have the space heater on right now. Because I went to bed last night so tired, and I went to bed early because I knew I had to work today. I went to bed, and I had forgotten that somewhere, I don't even remember when, I walked by the thermostat and turned off the heater. It was getting really hot in here. It was like 7 o'clock at night, and for some reason the heat was bumping. And rather than just turn the heater down, I turned it off. I woke up at like 3:30 in the morning, freezing my ass off, because here it is. Yeah, it's getting almost to November. I forgot to turn on the heater. And I was so cold that there was no going back to sleep. So I got up and threw every space heater on in the house I could, because it'll warm up the house faster. Oh my gosh. Keep space heaters in your houses. If your furnace goes out, I've had this happen to a couple friends. I always keep these just because, but I've had a couple friends who ended up having to pile under blankets because their furnace would go out, midnight, 1 in the morning, and there's no going to buy a space heater at midnight, 1 in the morning. If you got these things, your furnace can go out and you can still use electricity to heat the place up. But I bundled up, turned on the space heater, and started editing that video because I needed something to do. I'm debating on telling you something, which already means I'm going to have to tell you because I don't keep secrets from you. It's not a secret. It's just, I don't want to speak ill of somebody. How do I put it? So the whole thing, with the wing, hitting the wing on landing, that happened to another pilot. But when it happened to him, he didn't take ownership of it. When it happened to me, at first I didn't believe it. I was like, that did not happen. We looked at the wing. We just looked at the wrong spot. And that's what happened is I took ownership of it and went, okay, hey, I screwed up. How do I fix this? And because of that, the company was like, okay, you're taking ownership of it. Get back to work. I got some text messages when I woke up from a pilot that it happened to, because it's not uncommon. That is not an uncommon thing. It doesn't happen regularly, but it happens. Things in aviation occur all the time. And they're not going to get publicized because, the airlines don't want you knowing that something occurred. They're going to keep that under wraps. And hey, look, we kept you safe. You just keep flying, keep buying tickets. If you guys knew how often, mechanical irregularities is what we call them. That's a very polite term. How often that occurs, you'd probably freak out, and there's no need to freak out because it's not a big deal. It's not even a deal. It's just, oh, all right, we're going to handle this, and they occur, and we don't tell you about them, and that's just the way it goes. So this happened to him. But he decided to go the opposite way and say, no, that wasn't me. I didn't do that. BS. This is garbage. His situation is being handled. He knows about mine because I'm an open book and I will share my screw-ups with other people for two reasons. One, so that they can learn from the actual screw-up. It's very important to learn from that actual screw-up. But two, so they can see that owning up to a mistake is not, I don't want to say it's not the end of the world because it's not the end of the world. That's the beginning of a new world. That's when life actually begins. When you stop trying to hide the screw-ups you've done and you embrace them and go, hey, no, I screwed this up. Your life actually begins when that happens. It's a child that tries to hide what they've done. Usually because they've been disciplined too hard or disciplined without being told that they're still loved. They try to hide that screw up. Or the ultimate case, they've never been disciplined. If they've never been disciplined, they will try to hide every screw up they possibly can. That's just the way it goes. So I shared it with him. He knew, and he asked me what was going on, and we've been going back and forth for about a week and a half, something like that. And he's calling everybody under the sun. He's calling his boss. He's calling his boss's boss. He's calling all these people, raising a ruckus, wanting to know where his schedule is and what's going on. And I can tell just from the way he's texting me that he's not taking ownership at all. Me, I'm sitting there going, how the hell did I let this happen? Okay. All right, don't dwell on it. Don't dwell on it, but frickin' remember it. Don't let this happen again. And I won't. But he's going the opposite way, and because of it, he might be handled differently by the company. So I started thinking about that, and I sleep with my TV on. I need to hear human voices. That's just the way it is. Not music. I need to hear human voices talking. It puts me at ease. I don't know why. It doesn't really matter why. It just does. And I've shown you the Mover and Gonky show a couple times, I think. But this here is the Mover and Gonky show. It's a podcast I watch. The top two guys, the guy on the left is Mover, guy on the right is Gonky. Then they sometimes have a guest host, and Tim Davies is a British fighter pilot. They're all fighter pilots. And they do, each episode they do what's called the mental health moment, or mental health minute, or whatever it is. And this was playing as I woke up freezing ass cold. I don't believe in coincidences. And so Mover does a better job at explaining this than I will. Yeah, so.
Well, let's talk mental health. So this came from somebody actually in the Discord, and he was talking about expect the unexpected. Things will go wrong. Not everything is going to go to plan, but step back and evaluate the situation and press on, short and sweet. And then another member said, things will take longer than you think. And I think the reason we picked that, number one, because I thought it was cool, but two, I mean, how many times as fighter pilots or pilots, military pilots, civilian pilots, whatever, do you no plan survives first contact with the enemy, Gonky?
Nope.
Mike Tyson there. But how many times does the plan just not work, or you have to adapt your plan, or some new variable shows up and you have to go, okay, I understand that, but we're going to still stick to the plan. So it's taking that step back and evaluating. And I think in life we end up in these situations where we get this myopic view that the plan has to work exactly as we thought in the timeline that we thought, but in real life it's not our timeline. We are not the ones that get to determine that, and some things take a while to work out, and it's not how we thought. So especially when you're going through stuff, I went through a lot of stuff in the last couple of years, and in the
Which, by the way, he did go through some serious stuff. I'm not entirely certain of the story. I heard it secondhand from a friend of a friend of a friend of what he went through. He doesn't share it, so I'm not going to share it, because I might have gotten a bad story anyway. But he went through a couple things. That guy is resilient. He just kept going. Love it.
zoomed in view, which we talked about last week, you think, well, it's not working out now, it's never going to work out. But then 2 years later, you're looking at it going, well, that was just a blip on the radar, and now things have actually started working out, and I can't believe, it was that bad. You kind of forget. But the scars are always going to be there. So we always talk about, using your resources, use your friends, use your wingman. Tim, you've got a great resource, and I'll let you talk about that when you get to it. But use the resources you have available to kind of remind yourself to stay on timeline, stay on plan, be patient, and let the picture settle. 988 is a good reference here in the U.S. If you're actually thinking about hurting yourself. Military One Source, chaplains, even if you have to call 911, just don't take a temporary problem and have a permanent solution to it and take your own life. So, Conky, what do you think, man?
Yeah, when you first said this to me, expect the unexpected, my first thought that came to mind was, you should always, like in the military, right? We're always striving to be at a certain level of readiness, always ready, right? It's like, if we call you tomorrow, you're ready. What does that mean in life? And from a mental health point of view, to me, being ready is, being, physically fit, spiritual, and your mental health squared away. Good church, good family, good friends, surround yourself with good people. I just think the stronger that, I guess those would be your core things, would be physical, mental, spiritual, at least to me, the better you're going to be able to handle the unexpected, because there's no way to plan for everything that's going to happen to you, whether you're flying a fighter jet on a mission or in life in general. And I just think that's the best defense against that. But yeah, you pretty much nailed it. Tim, what do you think?
Well, my father was a traffic officer in the British Police Force, and he was an accident investigator as well. And he always said to me, death is what happens to you on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. You don't get someone knocking at your door telling you your wife's died on a Saturday afternoon when you're prepared for it. All right, you get a police officer knocking on your door. It's raining. It's Tuesday. You're scrabbling around the house doing something else, and then someone tells you that your wife's been killed in a road accident. So I wrote an essay about that on Fast Performance, and it was called "Death on the Roads." Something like "Life is what happens" on a rainy Tuesday afternoon, something like that. You know what I mean? But the preparedness that we talk about, and I'm very much into spiritual. I'm a Catholic man, right? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people are quite embarrassed about talking about the faith, but I was a Catholic man all the way through, and I went through jets for a while, and I've come back leaning back into that faith now, because I think there's something about the community, or something about bigger than ourselves, that we can lean into. And if that means that having a bit of faith somewhere just means that you think, you know what, I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm just going to treat myself a bit better, because maybe I need to be representing for people around me, if that makes sense. I need to just be showing that I'm willing to do the sacrificial work and the hardship. I mean, I went through obviously the alcohol, the suicidal ideation when I left the military. I've spoken all about this kind of stuff. And I went through that, so I do talk about it because it helps. I run a course for that now as well, for guys. I don't talk about the course too much, but I do run the course for guys, and I run the school. So the preparedness, I think you're absolutely right. How do we do that? I hit the gym every morning. I don't want to be in the gym, but I have a gym in my house. I go out there for an hour and a half every morning, listen to a podcast. I'm not a music guy. I sometimes listen to nothing at all. All right, vitamin iron, just lift something up. throw yourself on the floor. You can't be sad when you think you're going to be sick to exercise. You know, there's just something about it, and we hate it, don't we? But you know what? When you're at that point where you don't want to do anything else, and it's hard when you're not in that correct headspace to go and do something better. So I always talk about fitness, finance, family, and I add fuel onto that. And what I'm talking about fuel is actually making sure not only are we watching the right things, like this great podcast here, but also that we are taking in the correct nutrition, because of course we all eat. So if you're stuffing bad food into yourself the whole time, alcohol like I was for many years until about 18 months ago, you know, the perspective you have and the resilience you have is going to be very different than if you treat yourself properly. That's how I think about it.
Awesome. Doug?
Usual disclaimers apply. I'm fourth in the list.
Doug is the producer who is off camera.
Clean it up, man. You always do.
I've got a phrase that I used to use a lot, and my wife reminded me of it recently, that the phrase is relax, nothing is under control. It teaches you to let go of expectations, and at some level expectations are pretty much a guarantee for disappointment.
This is what I wanted to get to. The voice behind the camera, Doug. They go to him because he always has some good input, and this right here, the expectations part. Expectations will kill you. They will drag you down in a way that you won't even see coming. Because you have these expectations in your head, and if the things don't start going that way, you just start breaking down completely. And so I'm going to let him finish.
Nothing is ever going to go the way you expected, even whether it's good or bad. And you guys have really kind of hit the major points. This is going to sound sort of like a summary. Just plan for what you can control, know what your competencies are, train the
Plan.
competencies, but when the time comes, you just have to have the confidence to realize you can handle this in the moment. And you may not have prepared for the exact scenario that you're going through, but like Tim said, if everything else is solid, you're going to be able to handle it.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Tim. It's always, it's home, man. It's home. And then I think the fact that you're doing stuff for mental health, Tim, is awesome. I think that's great that, you're able to share what you've learned and experienced. And
So I've witnessed this. I'm watching this again now. He's losing his mind. But the friend who had the similar experience, he's handling it differently because his expectations were he was going to be cleared immediately. He didn't do anything wrong. People would buy that. And it's a BS lie that he knows he's telling himself. He did it. He knows he did it. He's hoping people won't. He's hoping people will buy his story. That if he says it enough times, people will go, oh, well, maybe it wasn't him. It was him. He did it. And he's expecting to get around the consequences. And that's not going to happen. And so what's going to end up happening is the company's going to go, hey, you're not owning up to the consequences of your actions. So we're going to have to teach you how to own up to your consequences, or we just part ways. That's the ultimate. That's the ultimate lesson in not owning up to your consequences is, you know what? You're not owning up to this. We're going to part ways. You go do your thing. We'll go do our thing, and that'll be that. With regard to Tim there, the British guy, that's how I handle mine. I'm probably looking weird on camera right now because, my back. It was pull-up day 2 days ago. If you don't know, 2 days is when you feel the pain of working out. If you've worked out properly, 2 days later, you're going to feel what's called delayed onset muscle soreness, DOMS, DOMS. And holy cow, am I feeling it now. I'm going to circle back to that in a second. I don't want to forget. But going to the gym, he's like me. He doesn't listen to music. I don't listen to music. I'll listen to a podcast or go silent. The exact same thing. All three of us, I share a lot of similarities with these guys, probably for obvious reasons. But that's what I'll do. I'll go to the gym and nope, I'm not. I can't feel bad lifting this stuff. You sling that weight, and that's why I was talking about last podcast doing something physical. Getting that physical release of those hormones there's nothing that's comparable to it. There just isn't. So I strongly encourage it. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'll tell you my experience with it, and it's phenomenal. With regard to lifting, this is totally off topic, but just to put a end piece onto that, let the expectations go. Don't just say that. People say that all the time. I watch it. No, I don't have any expectations. Oh my God, it's not going my way. Oh, for Christ's sake. Let it go. You're doing so many things when you sit there and you worry. Number one, you're creating panic that doesn't need to be created. Panic never needs to be created in any way whatsoever. Number two, you are forgetting all of the blessings that you have been given as soon as you start worrying, because you're putting yourself in charge. No, it needs to go my way. It needs to go my way, forgetting that no, you're not in charge, and you've been given a lot of blessings by the person in charge. You've also been given blessings by other people. And probably most important, for me anyway, is that you are negating other people's struggle when you come to them with your worries. With my friend here texting me throughout the night and over the past week and a half, he wants me to worry with him, completely disregarding that I have my own shit going on. I got things that I have to be not worried about, but things I have to tend to, other than the shit that he's done that he's not owning up to. The self-centeredness of that is pretty impressive. So, let the expectations go. Let the worrying go. I know I've talked about worrying too much, but it's so critical to let it go. That's when life begins. Look to be a free spirit, as they say. Look to be a free spirit. Let things happen. Enjoy it. And don't just say you're letting it go and enjoying it. No, anybody can do that. Actually do it. When you stop saying it, that's when it's actually happened. Because you won't have to say it. People will know. You will know that you are a free spirit. With regard to lifting, this is something I haven't really delved into. There's not going to be a way for me to show you this, because I want to wrap it up here. I got to go get in the shower. Range of motion. Girls, when you work out, range of motion. We talked about this when you were kids, but I don't think you're going to remember by the time you watch these. Range of motion. Meaning, I don't know if you can see my arm, but if I'm working out this muscle, this joint has to move. So if I just do this, that joint is not moving and that muscle is not moving. You will see men at the gym all the time take a weight, the weight's right there, and they'll do this and 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 this. That weight's not going anywhere. They're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That did nothing. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. You go all the way down, all the way up, all the way down, all the way up. God, I saw that at the gym. Some guy going nuts. I saw it yesterday, and it was something I was thinking about. How do people not know about range of motion? The range of motion. Get the full range of motion. Totally off topic, I know, but it was bothering me, and I had to vent about it. So, expectations. Let them go. Things start to get better. I swear to God. Right? Okay. Let it go. You're not in charge. Everything is out of control. Relax. I love that. So, all right. I got to go get in the shower. I got to go to work. Hopefully this microphone recorded everything. I got my levels down here. It says it's getting my voice. I don't know. We'll find out. Go out and do the love as I love you. I love you. I miss you. I wish I could be with you right now. You have no idea how much my heart aches right now. Another podcast. I love you. I'll see you next time you click.